It's easy to forget how these things start. One offhand comment, one shady gym switch, one stare down that went just a little too long. Most rivalries fizzle out. These didn't. This is the story behind the UFC's most bitter feuds. Not just the chaos we saw in the cage, but what happened before. The disrespect, the betrayal. This is about the fighters that hate each other the most, and about why the hate runs so deep. Long before the leg breaks, trash talk, and DM talk got started, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor had already gone to war. UFC 178, featherweight days. Conor was on the rise, all mouth and momentum. Dustin was emotional, trying to keep his cool while McGregor turned every presser into a roast session. It didn't end well. Conor knocked him out in under 2 minutes. Then he strutted. Then he talked. Dustin walked away with a bruised chin and a chip on his shoulder the size of Lafayette. Fast forward 6 years, UFC 257. Older, wiser, at lightweight. And this time, it started respectful. Conor played the family man. No insults, no ego. He even pledged a fat donation to Dustin's charity. But in the cage, Dustin flipped the script. Calf kicks carved Conor's base like a butcher. Then came the combos. Then came the left hand. McGregor dropped, flatlined for the first time in his career. And that's when the venom came back. Conor started ghosting the charity, accused Dustin of clout chasing, and when the trilogy got booked for UFC 264, the mask came off. McGregor went full villain mode, mocking Dustin's wife, his accent, his city, talking about killing people in the cage.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
I'm going to.
And the fight was pure chaos. Dustin dominated the first round, took Conor down, smashed him with elbows and short shots. Conor pulled guard and jumped for a panic guillotine. Desperation grappling from a guy who swore he was levels above. Then the leg snapped. Tibia. Gone. Just like that, it was over.
The kicks that he checked is what broke your leg.
There was no check. There was not one of them I checked. Nightclub, baby. You're looking big, you little.
Dustin walked away with the series 2-1, head high. Conor limped away with excuses, bitterness, and a legacy that cracked harder than his leg. It's time to break down one of the most toxic, petty, and personal rivalries in UFC history. This one didn't come out of nowhere. Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington had been orbiting each other for years. College wrestling, regional MMA, UFC events, open workouts, even crossing paths at buffet lines in Vegas. Same weight class, same era, different camps, and growing resentment. Usman repped the Black Zillions, Covington repped American Top Team, and in South Florida, this was practically a damn turf war. And while they avoided each other on the mat for years, the tension kept building until it finally exploded before UFC 245. Covington, playing full-time heel, took it too far. At a New York press conference, he looked Usman dead in the eye and dropped this.
For all those years you were ducking me, so don't worry, he'll be watching from hell on December 14th.
Glenn Robinson, the late Black Zillions founder, a man Usman publicly respected, had died of a heart attack in 2018. And Colby, with no hesitation, dragged his name through the mud for a soundbite. Usman barely flinched, but he heard everything. There were no staged face-offs after that. No, we're just selling the fight. This was personal. And when the cage door closed at UFC 245, the talking stopped. No wrestling, no clinch games, just two high-volume machines standing and trading like they'd rather die than shoot a takedown. Usman broke Colby's jaw in the third, dropped him twice in the fifth, finished the fight with hammer fists, and stood over him screaming. Colby was humiliated. No handshake, no respect, just lawsuits and complaints about the stoppage. But the beef still simmering.
Next time. Wait till I see you next time, Marty Fake Newsman. You're
Am I?
You got unfinished business.
Really?
You better show up.
Really?
I'm coming for you.
You said that last time. What happened?
Yeah, wait till this time.
So they ran it back. UFC 268, Madison Square Garden. The hate was still alive. They almost brawled backstage. Colby attacked Usman's pet history. Usman stayed stoic but sharp, and once again the fight delivered. 5 rounds, razor close, but Usman retained again. After the fight, a second of sportsmanship, a quick nod, a few muttered words, but Colby can't live there. The heel roll is too valuable. Though the second cameras came back on, he flipped the switch by saying he still hates Usman and that Usman is a cheater. Respect? Brief. Real? Maybe. But Colby Covington has a gimmick to protect, so the hate stays alive, at least in Colby's head. One of the more recent rivalries and easily one of the most skilled. Both extremely qualified strikers with world-class kickboxing pedigrees and highlight reels that would make almost any other fighter jealous. But this wasn't just a battle of talent. This was history chasing a man down. Israel Adesanya was already the king of middleweight, defended the belt, cleaned out contenders, looked untouchable. But then there was one ghost he couldn't shake, Alex Pereira. Back in their kickboxing days, Pereira beat him twice, once by decision, once by cold, soul-sapping knockout. Years passed, Izzy ruled the UFC, and just when the past started to fade, Pereira decided to continue his biggest hater arc. Pereira made the jump, trained up, stormed the rankings, and kicked the octagon door in. He wasn't coming to chase gold. Well, maybe he was, but his primary target was to haunt Adesanya. And Izzy knew the stakes.
I'm glad it happened because I wouldn't be here where it was. And even the same guy now he watches all my fights, and every time I fight, like clockwork, he'll try and put something out like, I beat this guy. But I've never ever watched any of his fights, ever. So at the end of the day, no one knows who the f he is. And he's gonna be that guy when I'm world champion, when I'm a legend. He's gonna be at some pub, talking some shit about, I beat that guy one time.
UFC 281, Madison Square Garden. The tension was real. Izzy looked sharp early, won rounds. Rocks Pereira at the bell in round 1, but round 5, Pereira hunted him down, cornered him and unloaded. The ref stepped in, Izzy collapsed. It was happening all over again. Izzy was redreaming his worst nightmare. 3-0 Pereira. Different sport, same outcome. But Izzy, he didn't run from it. He came back for revenge. UFC 287, the rematch. And this time, he flipped the script, rope-a-doped Pereira, baited him in, then launched a right hook from the depths of his soul. Pereira folded, out cold. Izzy stood over him, fired off 3 symbolic arrows. It was over, or so we thought. The drama's cooled, the tensions faded, the two even appearing sitting next to each other at a UFC event. But with Pereira until recently holding gold at light heavyweight, with a chance to recapture it in a potential rematch with Magomed Ankalaev up next, and Adesanya still hunting greatness, there's still a real chance this thing runs one more time. One of the ugliest rivalries the UFC has ever seen. And it didn't start with trash talk, it started with trust. TJ Dillashaw was the guy, the alpha male golden boy, Uriah Faber's prodigy, the one they thought would finally bring a belt back to Sacramento. Then Dwayne Bang Ludwig showed up. He turned a room full of wrestlers into knockout artists. The striking got sharper, the wins started stacking, TJ leveled up fast. In 2014, with Ludwig in his corner, TJ Dillashaw beat Renan Barão and shocked the world. Team Alpha Male had its first undisputed champ. It looked like the whole team won with him, but behind the smiles, that gym was about to split in half. Ludwig split from the team. Dillashaw stayed loyal to Ludwig, not Alpha Male. And that's when the energy shifted. He said he was still cool with Faber, called the team his family, but the truth was obvious. He was out, gone to Colorado, training with Elevation, still pretending things were fine, until he wasn't. By 2015, Dillashaw officially left the gym. Faber banned him from the premises. Cody was a new face at the time, young, loyal, and he wasn't just gonna let TJ walk away with the title and act like he still had the team's blessing. That's when it turned into war. They got in each other's faces on The Ultimate Fighter. Every press event was a shouting match. The sparring stories started flying. Allegations, drama, bad blood, it all came to a head at UFC 217. Cody nearly finished TJ in round 1, dropped him hard, but TJ came back, adjusted, head kick, right hand, lights out. Cody hit the canvas, TJ standing over him. The feud only got nastier from there. Old teammates dropped stories, more gym beef surfaced. When they ran it back at UFC 227, TJ once again managed to break Garbrandt. 2 clean knockdowns, another finish. And just like that, the rivalry was over, with Cody slumped on the canvas.
On the first pipe.
Eating some big bombs, Big John.
Let's finish off the list with 2 excellent fighters that couldn't have hated each other more. Backstage at UFC 121, Jon Jones was still a rising prospect. He met Daniel Cormier for the first time. Whether it was cockiness, awkwardness, or pure ego, Jones looked at a former Olympian and said something along the lines of, "I bet I could take you down." To DC, that wasn't banter, that was disrespect. And from that day on, there was no love between them. But it was much deeper than just that remark. Years passed and the two would have to meet each other in the octagon, and everything poured out. Press conferences turned hostile, the infamous UFC 178 face-off became a full-on brawl. They both got fined. Jones blamed DC for losing his Nike deal. Later, he admitted it wasn't true. Then the mics turned off. Or so they thought. A hot mic captured what they really thought. No cameras, no filters, just raw hatred. Jones said he would kill him. DC said to try. No acting, no fake heat, just 2 men who genuinely wanted to hurt each other. Then came UFC 182. Jones won a clear decision, gave DC his first professional loss. And just 4 months later, John crashed his car into a pregnant woman. He ran from the scene twice. Once to grab a bag of cash. He never checked on the other driver. Police found weed pipes in the car. For most fighters, it was just another Jon Jones mess. But for Cormier, it was personal. He had lost close friends, family, and even his 3-month-old daughter in car accidents to drunk drivers. He buried more pain than most men can survive. And now, the man who beat him had walked away from another car crash, smug as ever. Still, DC returned, fought for the vacant belt after Jones was stripped, won it, defended it, built a legacy with his name on it. But always, the shadow of Jones lingered. Then came the rematch at UFC 214. DC started strong. It was competitive, but then Jones landed the head kick. Follow-up shots sealed it. DC collapsed. Another loss to the one man he could not overcome. And then came the final gut punch. Jones failed a drug test. The win was overturned, but the damage was done. DC had already cried in the octagon, not because he lost a fight, but because he lost to him, to Jon Jones again. Jones stood for everything DC couldn't stomach. He was a straight-to-the-core bad person, the guy who messed up over and over and still got crowned. DC followed the rules, did everything right, and still lost. To this day, when you say Jon Jones in front of Daniel Cormier, you can still see the pain in his face.